Hello and welcome to another episode of UpGrade with Maria Kay, the podcast where your success, freedom and happiness get a weekly boost. And whether it's your first time today or whether you've been with us from day one, a big high five to you, because you know what? I know how busy life can be. And I know what an effort it also can be to take this 30 or so minutes out of your life to tend to what I deem one of the most important elements of your life after your health and wellness. And that is your life upgrade, ensuring that wherever you are now, continues to upgrade, continues to expand, and that you are constantly moving towards a place in your life that pleases you, that has you jumping out of bed in the morning, feeling fulfilled, eager and excited because you are in control of your life. That really excites me, and it's really gives me so much pleasure to know that you have said yes to that. For the next 30 or so minutes. It's a huge honor to be hanging out with you. If you haven't already done so, go over to the Facebook group, UpGrade with Maria Kay. Join us there. We're having a blast. Share with us your breakdowns, your breakthroughs, all about your particular life upgrade or the current focus of your upgrade. And also go over to our website, upgradewithmariakay.com. A ton of free resources on there. You can also join our monthly membership. It's an exclusive membership. You will be blown away by the resources that you will receive every month. Go check it out. And I look forward to hearing from you. You can also grab a complimentary session with me via the website. So if you want to have a chat with me one-to-one, then please do. It's there for you. Use it if you feel you need it. In today's episode, we are looking at how to rewrite our story. Now, if you're happy with your story, if you're happy with where life is, then you probably don't even need to be listening to today's podcast episode. But chances are, and as I always say, there is always room for more. Whether you're someone like me, having been on this journey for countless years, or whether you're just starting to get to grips with maybe your personal or spiritual or professional improvement or upgrade, as it were. So if you take a look at where you're at now in life in general, or in any specific area of your life, that could be anything. It could be your weight, your health, your wellness. It could be your business, your finances. It could be your relationships, your family setup, the way that you run your household, your free time, your stress levels, your anxiety levels. Right? We can apply all of these sharings today to any area of your life. So if you take a look and just for a second tune in, chances are it's right there on the surface. You'll know what area of your life is pretty urgent to be looked at, perhaps. Maybe you've been putting it off for a long time. Maybe you know, and you've been turning a blind eye or turning the other way. We often procrastinate and put things to one side or avoid taking care of something because we don't know how to. So today I'm going to give you a ton of tips and tools about how to rewrite your story so that you can start to experience a heightened state of living in general or in those specific areas of your life that you're currently unhappy with. So you may want to pick a topic today or an area of life that you're currently displeased with. And as I take you through the rest of today's session, you will be able to apply everything that I'm telling you to that specific area. And then the next time you listen, you may want to pick another area. That's one way of working through today's session. I recommend you grab a piece of paper and a pen because we're going to be doing some written work today. Only a little bit, do not worry. So we're going to be looking at the connection between the stories that we tell ourselves and to others and the life that we are waking up to every day. We're going to be looking at how closely connected those two things are. Now, you may not have looked at it in this way before. You may not have really seen that you are telling stories. Now, we all tell stories, and I'm going to talk about that more in a short while. So a really good question to start with, and we can ask ourselves this question: what's my story? What do I find myself talking about a lot? What do I find myself thinking about a lot? And is that story, are those thoughts, are those beliefs, are they in alignment? So do they match the life or the area of life that I'm focusing on? Do they match what I desire? Do they match what I want? Well, I'm going to talk you through how to figure that out if you don't already have that answer right now. If you're not sure how your story is impacting on your everyday life, then hang fire. I'm going to explain how that works in a short while. But first, a bit of a background, a bit of a sort of the history and the inner workings of what we're talking about today. Our lives are made up of a series of experiences, encounters, conversations, the things that we witnessed, the things that people said to us or perhaps didn't say to us. So all of the above form the basis of our stories. Now, we have lots of little stories that we put together and sometimes make the bigger story. If you think of an actual book, right, a novel, it has the title, it has the subtitle, it has the blurb on the back, it has the chapter by chapter, page by page, the title of each chapter, right? Your whole life experience, everything you've walked through, everything you've sat through, everything you've been through is forming that book, right? And as we begin our lives as young people, as children, and then into young adulthood, we're affected, we're impacted, we absorb and we accumulate from our parents, our siblings, our teachers, the media, our peers, our friends, our partners, our relationships, our work environment, our successes, our failures, our bosses, the ups, the downs, the breakdowns, the breakthroughs. There isn't anything that you have experienced in your life that hasn't impacted in a small or a huge way or somewhere in the middle, that hasn't impacted on your story, that hasn't contributed to the words on the page in the book that is your life story. Now, let me come in on a positive for a second, because this is not all doom and gloom. Well, first of all, it's not doom and gloom because we're going to do something positive today. We're going to rewrite the elements of your story that are not helpful to you, leading the successful, free and happy life that you desire, right? So we're already on a positive note. But I also want to come in and, before we go any further, really stress the importance that this is not an invitation to go on a kind of rampage of negative, low vibrational thoughts and energy. All right? We're not looking to spew a load of resentment, regret, fear, disappointment, panic, or even anger. Right? The purpose of today is really, really importantly to delve deep, gather the information that we need, and then rise up even higher than we find ourselves right now. Now, if you've been on an upgrade journey for a long while, then chances are you're doing really well. It's highly likely that every day or every week or every month you continue this beautiful upward climb. And that is how it can be. If you're not there yet, please be patient because it will come. But as I always say, there is always room for more. And if you've been struggling perhaps with certain issues or problems or blocks or obstacles for a long time, they do say the biggest lessons, the biggest assignments that we're given in life are the ones that we really need to assimilate the most. They're the biggest lessons for us because they have real importance in our life in general, but also as we show up as human beings that are here to kind of help other people. Now, you may not be in the helping profession, but as you upgrade, you by your very nature will have an impact on those around you wide and far. So as we move through life, we accumulate and we experience a ton of different experiences, and we also accumulate beliefs that actually are often based on an untruth, right? They're based on an untruth, yet we make a decision based on that untruth, and I'll explain in a second how it works a little bit deeper, and we carry that untruth around with us for a very long time until usually it comes to a very critical point, whether it's to do with your finances or your health or your relationships, right, or your career, where, push comes to shove, or, you hit a very rock bottom moment and you're forced to look at things differently. And hopefully that's not where you're at today. Hopefully this can be a really happy, joyful, enjoyable experience for you as we go in together and rewrite the whole of or an element of the story that is ruling your life experience today, and we're going to shift it. We're going to shift it and we're going to make it into a supportive story that can carry you effortlessly, right? Imagine that, being carried effortlessly into the next phase of your upgrade journey. I'm up for that, and I'm hoping that you are up for that too. So often we accumulate these stories, we accumulate these ideas, these beliefs that have no truth. And what happens is our ego mind gets right in there, muscles right in there, and has us make a decision or a series of decisions by way of self-protection. For example, and this may be you, this may resonate with you. It definitely used to be me a long time ago. So a perpetual, unsuccessful dieter, someone who follows a rigid, strict diet regime on more than one occasion. Usually it's this yo-yo effect. People diet and they lose a little bit, they put it back on, or they can't lose. And over many, many years, this process is being repeated time and time again. Now, it's really likely, and it's very likely, it is usually the case, let's say, that someone in this position will develop a series of beliefs that are really far from the truth. And they go something like this: I'm lazy, I'm greedy, I can't do it, my body isn't strong enough, etc., etc. I'm sure you can fill in quite a few for yourself. Now, the mistruth there is that the issue doesn't lie with the dieter, the issue lies with the method of weight loss, because diets don't work. And these days we pretty much know that for sure. And I've written a whole ebook on there. It's called Done with Diets. If you're interested in that area specifically, it's on Amazon. You're welcome to go and grab it. But we know that the truth of the matter lies with the issue lies with the method of attempted weight loss. Yet this dieter, this person is walking around with a whole false story and probably a ton of unnecessary weight, right? That's causing them a ton of stress, probably massive health issues, definitely lots of mind stuff that goes with that too. Feeling unsuccessful, feeling totally chained to this issue, and definitely not happy at all. But can you see how easy it is to accumulate these stories, to create these stories, and yet the root of the issue is completely unfounded? I've got a story that from my college days, when a guy told me that I had chunky thighs. Yeah, he said, you've got chunky thighs. And I needed to tone them up a little bit, needed to sort them out. Now, had I been somebody else, then it may not have affected me, but I was on the cusp of a period of my life that saw me struggle a lot with my body image, with eating disorders, disordered eating. And it lasted, into my early to mid 20s. Now, was his comment the only route of that sort of period of storytelling that I went into, that I'm not good enough, that my body isn't good enough, I need to lose weight, I need to be looking a certain way, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I need to exercise all day long, so on and so forth. No, he wasn't the only route, those comments, let's say, but that did form a part of my story. Was it true? Absolutely not. I was a slender UK 8 to 10. I exercised regularly and I ate well. So it wasn't true, but my ego mind, obviously wanting to keep me safe and not allow me to get bigger or not allow me to walk around with quote unquote chunky thighs, wanted to take right good care of me and make sure that we nip that in the bud. So our stories can have many sort of mini roots, or they can have one big root. And this is where self-awareness, and this is not the only time I talk about self-awareness. If you've heard previous podcast, you'll know how big I am and how much I rave about self-awareness and having the channels of communication open enough that we can receive the relevant information that will help us to rewrite the stories, but first of all, understand the existing stories, right? And that isn't always pleasant. It's not always fun to do, to delve deep and really get up close and personal with perhaps information or periods of time in our life that were not nice. It wasn't a nice time for me to think back to allowing, first of all, a guy that I was dating to speak that way to me, right? And there's no way that would happen today. But also to look at how vulnerable I was at that age, to not have the capacity to see the real truth, right? So it's not always nice, it's not always pleasant, it's not always easy or desirable. But with the right level of self-care, right, and without the tendency to, as I aforementioned, spiral into a bout of self-attack. So if we can hold ourselves in compassion as we do the exploring and the delving and the diving deep, it can lessen the blow, can make it a lot more pleasant. And we can also shine the light off of the negative and onto the positive. And knowing that we're about to take back our power. We're about to stand in our truth, and we're about to rewrite our life story, which means we're about to experience the life that we desire. So if we can shine and focus in on the positive aspects of this, it doesn't have to be as unpleasant as it possibly could be. So let's jump in to doing exactly that. Take hold of your pen or your pencil, and on the top of the page, I would like you to write my old story. My old story, because today we're going to convert what you're currently telling yourself into something of the past. All right, from this moment onwards. So I would like you to think about the area of your life perhaps that you've already selected. It might be your weight, your health. It might be your finances, your relationships. Perhaps you're going through a stressful time in your relationship and there's a lot of conflict or arguing, but you know that it's perhaps a product of circumstance rather than an actual flaw in the relationship. Perhaps you guys are working a lot. Perhaps you're not getting enough date time or alone time. So spend the next few moments writing. You can do it in bullet points. You can do it like a sort of stream of consciousness. Close your eyes, take some breaths. In fact, let's do that together. Inhaling through the nose, filling the chest and the lungs and the belly with breath. And as you exhale, release and just let out a big sigh. So releasing any tension, dropping out of the mind and into the heart, into the body where all of the truth lies. And allow yourself to put pen to paper, no holds barred. Don't vet it. Don't second guess it. Let it just flow. So I'm just going to be silent for a few seconds while you write. What is your old story or your current story? If you're not feeling as though you're ready to let it go, perhaps you're a little bit connected to it still. You could even label it as your current story. That works too. My current story or my old story. Now you may want to pause the audio if you need more time. That's absolutely fine too. Now be really truthful here. Be really truthful. What isn't working? What have I been avoiding? What have I been procrastinating about? What scares the crazy out of me? What do I want to do that I won't allow myself to do? One of my old stories was I can't relocate to a warmer country, a country with more spiritual depth, a place where I can live by the beach or in the jungle. I can't do that because I can't pull my children out of school because school is really important. And if I do that, that will ruin their life. And you can imagine it goes on and on. You know, the stories we tell ourselves, they kind of get bigger and more far out and more untruthful the more we tell it, right? And yet, 2 years on, I changed my story 2 years or more ago. And here I am 2 years on, living my new story, having relocated, having been living this amazing life successfully, happily, freely, without the confines of the worry of the impact it would have on the children's education, changing the story so much so that the children are now thriving even more than they ever did in the UK school system. Right, being in an international school, a lot smaller, with a lot more of a holistic focus. So what story are you telling yourself that is blocking you from upgrading your life? Now, the only way we can really rewrite our story authentically, truthfully, and honestly is if we get up close and personal with what is now. So I'll say it one more time, get really real with it. And if you feel that you want to share this with me, please do. You're so welcome to. Go over to the Facebook group, UpGrade with Maria Kay, and you can share it publicly there. Or if you prefer to do it in private, send me a private message via my website, upgradewithmariakay.com. And there's a form there you can fill in, and you can contact me privately. I'd be so over the moon to hear from you. We can work on upgrading your story continuously, sort of privately, once you touch base with me. So now I want you to go down the page, or if you filled a whole page, go over to a new page and write the title, My New Upgrade Story, or My New Life Story. You know that the words aren't important. Choose ones that really resonate with you. Could be my new adventure, my new relationship story, my new body story, right? My new money story. Make it unique and personal to you. And now I want to give you the opportunity to rewrite your story. Now, you may not have enough time inside of this session. You may need more time, and it may be something that you add to. In fact, I recommend that maybe for the next 7 days, going back to it and spending a few minutes a day rereading your story. This is something that I did a long time ago. I used to reread my story and add to it on a daily basis. When we put pen to paper, it brings our words, our thoughts to life. So rewrite your story. Once upon a time, you could begin with, or I am. You starting with the words I am is always very, very powerful. The power of the I am. Now, in this segment, I do not want you to vet it either. I want you to want what you want. And I want to give you permission to allow your heart's desires to come up onto the page. No one is going to ridicule you for wanting what you want. And if they do, then you need not hang around with them. Right? You need not share these things with them. These are private and sacred. Okay. So as a side note, if you want to do the sharing, you can do it with me, or you find someone that is going to be supportive. So I'm going to just be silent for a few seconds as you go into rewriting your story. You could do it in bullet points. It could be a stream of consciousness. And if you need more time, please do pause the audio. And the next part of this exercise, okay, we're going to be looking at what is stopping you, okay? What is stopping you from allowing that new story to become your reality? So first of all, we're going to look at our limiting beliefs. Okay, so just to give you an example, as I gave you the story earlier on about how I wanted to relocate, but I was blocking myself because I was buying into the story that if I relocated, the children would have a disrupted education and it would impact on their future and they'd hate me for the rest of their lives, right? So what is it for you that you've bought into? What is it for you? Were you told, like I was told, you're a single mum? You're never going to be able to build whatever it is that you want to build, your empire, your business, your holistic center, or even a successful new relationship. Are you carrying those kinds of stories around with you? Or is it to do with your body and your health? So here's an opportunity to really dissect and then remove, almost with a fine-tooth comb or with the tweezers, picking out those elements of your story those big impactful elements of your story that now need to change. So get really clear on that. It may take you longer than this session, but again, take that time, give yourself that time. And now rewrite those elements. For example, could go something like this. We'll go back to the weight loss story. Rather than I am lazy, diets never work for me, you want to rewrite your story and have it support you. My body knows exactly which foods to eat at which time of day. I am supported by my body and I support my body. My body is self-correcting and self-balancing. I reach my ideal weight with ease, joy, and pleasure. Okay? Now I want you to elaborate and spend a little bit more time going into the details of your new story, because you know what? It is powerful. It will turn into your reality. So today is the day that you rewrite the story that you're living by. And once you've rewritten the story, I then want you to verbalize it. So when you're having a conversation with your girlfriends or with the lads down the pub, when you're having a conversation with your colleagues or with your employer or with your children, or even in the confines of your therapy sessions or your coaching sessions, rewrite the story, but also speak the new story and become the new story. So we won't have time today to go into how to be and act and show up. But for now, get really busy with rewriting your new story. Send them over. Let me know how it's gone for you. I'm leaving you with as much love as you can possibly absorb in